And while we're at it, we should just have a big round of applause for everyone who came up and spoke. All of you for coming out. This has been probably the most successful Zeitgeist event that I've seen so far. My name is Matt Boisvert. This is the third ZDAY that I've had the privilege to be a part of, and I have to say that the movement has come a lot, like really, really far in the last 3 years. 3 years ago, myself and the members of my band, The Equation, decided to do more than just download and watch an inspirational documentary. We hosted the first official ZDAY at the Highway, which is just across the street over there. And we featured bands, art, 2 showings of the Activist Orientation Guide, which was really intense for those of us who had to sit through both of them, because it's not as interesting as the regular Zeitgeist movies. Anyone who's had to sit through it is like, yeah, it's awesome and all, but by the end, like, you're like, oh, Peter, come on, man, you're singing me a lullaby here. In total, we had about 50 people show up. Several months later, after forum discussions and messaging through the Zeitgeist site, we decided it was time to meet. The first meeting had maybe 12 people. From there, it blossomed into weekly meetings, awareness shows, 2 issues of a zine that we put together and paid for ourselves, and 4 episodes of a YouTube show, which is still up somewhere in the internet universe at Evolution Solutions. And as we're all still bound by the monetary system, life tended to get in the way. Members would come and go, and the group's progressions seemed like it was about to dwindle. This was proved completely wrong at the Milner Library showing of Zeitgeist moving forward. The group, in fact, had grown much, and aside from a few of the original members, I knew nobody. I even had someone come up and be like, hey, do you need information on Zeitgeist? I was like, oh, that's so awesome. The group, in fact, oh, sorry, I went back here. It's a little dim. To me, this was an amazing event. It seemed to symbolize how deeply in-ground the need and want for change is, and how, as more and more time goes by, we have less inhibitions about speaking out publicly. This brings me to one of the first points I'd like to make about the mental preparation required for transition. We live in an ever-spinning wheel of fear and consumption. Over the years, I've heard many, and I have even myself have raged against the system, feeding it energy instead of taking it back. I was constantly looking for someone or something to blame, that president or that bill or the stupid money in my pocket. Sadly, I came to the realization that there was someone to blame, and you'd only have to look to the nearest mirror to see who that person was. We empower the system. No one is holding us at gunpoint, forcing us to consume. Through years of apathy, fear, and rage, we've given the monetary system all the fuel it needs to keep us controlled and to keep us consuming. We must let go of fear. Looking at the growth of Zeitgeist in the last few years, I would say that this is definitely already underway. Fear in its many forms, worry being fear of the future, guilt being fear of the past, and stress being kind of fear of the present, is not being used as nature intended, which is a self-defense mechanism. But instead, we're using it as shackles and chains that we're willingly binding ourselves with. We must let go of anger. Anger, rage, kicking and screaming, desperately trying to create one monster or another to blame for the reason that we've still not evolved as a society is quite common. It is also completely backwards. It only serves to fuel the faceless monsters we create and displace responsibility from ourselves. For we are completely responsible for our own lives, and only as one balanced whole can we move forwards. We must accept responsibility. Our society is growing up. We started naive and willing to accept the world and its workings as they were presented to us. And since then, we've grown and we've learned much. We've moved through our awkward, pimply phase where we raged against our authorities, but really had no power to do anything but complain, seeing as we still lived under their roof, so to speak. Now we're moving into our societal adulthood, if you will, a time where we need to accept the responsibility of replacing outdated ways of thinking constructively and peacefully. Not because we want to rebel against our so-called authorities, but because the progression and growth of our species requires that these outmoded thoughts be reassessed and consequently changed. So there are two ideas for the progression of this movement that I would like to now propose to you guys. The first is the development of evolution centers. These would be hubs, places where we are available to discuss the movement on a regular basis, and we're always there. People know we're going to be there, and they can count on us being there for information. Ideally, these would build to include free seminars, lectures, documentary showings, as well as information on sustainability, social evolution, and much, much more as we progress. The purpose of these centers would be to interconnect and progress our society as a whole. The second idea that I propose is that in summer of 2012, we march across Canada from Vancouver to Ottawa, picking up people along the way, finally ending at the doors of Parliament, where we will quite peacefully demand that the government begin building Venus projects. This doesn't have to be a literal walk across the vast landscape of Canada. It can be done in a relay, sort of past the baton sort of effect, where each city picks up where the last one left off, marches to their parliament and ends it there. But it would be ideal to coordinate an event like this, not just nationally, but globally, which is why, logistically speaking, it would need to happen next summer. Not everyone would have to walk. Many could donate water or drive with us for a bit. There would need to be groups going ahead to set up food camps, media coverage, and more for people who do want to walk the vast landscapes of Canada. So there are many ways that people could show their support without physically having to walk. However, I propose we start a Facebook event group, or just a plain event to the effect of that. Something along the lines of summer 2012, I intend to march across Canada for change, and begin promotions for it now. Just look at what a Facebook message did for Egypt. The government works for us, and that is something that has been purposefully washed over for decades. With the influence of big business and the corruption of our elected leaders, our system itself has become a spoiled child, doing everything to sustain its own comfort, not the people's, and definitely not the planet's. We need to reassert who the parent is here. We need to show them that we are not afraid, that we're not angry anymore, but if they don't start listening, we will have to spank them. We intend to obtain global change. We intend on shedding these outdated ways of society. We intend on achieving social evolution. This is long overdue. And I can't speak for all of you out there, but it has always been one of the main purposes of my life. We're getting closer to it every day. Thank you for supporting Zeitgeist. I hope you guys enjoy it.